There it is. Alright. Life is good. Alright. So, I've had an issue once upon a time. Oh, I gotta mute. Alright, the stream. Sorry. Alright, anyways. I've had an issue where my computer locked up. We keep it running overnight. Had some things going, whatever. But I think I understand what the issue is just because my BIOS was reset back in the day and I ended up having to turn off some C-state functions. And I'm just curious, and I figured I'd share this one if Claude could actually help with the issue or not. So, strangely enough, I tried this before this stream, and I asked the question to it already, and it gave an answer, or it started to give an answer, and the answer disappeared, which was odd. But anyway, I'm going to start over. I'm using Desktop Commander. I am paying for a subscription to Claude, if that matters. But anyway, let's ask it a question. So I woke up this morning to my Windows 11 machine locked up. Can you help me identify why? No, I want you to use Desktop Commander and investigate the issue for me. So I'm using Opus, Cloud Opus 4. I do have it on extended thinking, so we can get views of what it's doing. So we found an event. So what happened was it just locked up and I had to reboot it. So it happened at 3:35 this morning. So a watchdog violation. A hardware component took too long to respond. So he's checking the mini dump. Saying that my disks are healthy, which is good. Hi there. Thanks for stopping by. So, summary of findings. Yeah, locked up. Says likely cause is the recent Windows update, which I really don't think so because I believe I understand the issue. My BIOS reset for some reason, and there's a setting that I changed to avoid lockups. It had to do with C states. When my Windows or when my machine goes into a low power mode, there's some sort of weird hardware thing where it can cause these lockups sometimes more often than currently. Hasn't been annoying enough for me to turn it off yet, but I probably will today. It says it's happened multiple times over the past month. When I turned off this C state setting, it was really stable. I don't think I had any lockups for at least a few months. Yeah, so it's just asking or just recommending some updated drivers, which I could do that, but I don't think it's going to solve this issue. Well, that's cool. It actually saved a text file to my desktop. The mysterious... Did it talk about this up here? Interesting. I'm not sure what this is. Service. It's failing might be third-party software if you want to check. Antivirus system optimizations tool. Let's see, let's do this. Tell me more about this. Let's research the topic. Thing about research. Oh, it disappeared. Tell me more about this. Let's research the topic. The thing about this is it can take some time when you do research. Could take 5 minutes at this point. Maybe I'll do something interesting while we're waiting. So I've been using Desktop Commander with Claude Code for a minute. Actually have it help me with some of my home server stuff. Optimizing frigate performance, getting a GPU to work for hardware acceleration of recording playback, stuff like that. Before I dive into the search, let me clarify a few things. Make sure I get you the most relevant information. Are you primarily concerned about whether this service is legitimate or safe? Would you like me to focus on how to fix it? Do you want me to specifically investigate the contents? No, I want this. I'll just copy it in there. I'll just do it this way. Let's dig into this. So he's going to do a deep dive. I just realized that this is probably hard to see. Let me make it bigger. yeah, what I've been doing with this has been setting up SSH properly with, keys. So when I go to SSH into my different VMs, it's a little easier. You just have to, I guess I use PowerShell mostly, but you just put in your username, your like SSH username at IP, and then it'll connect without needing to put the password in there because there's a key. And then I actually ask Claude to go in and have a look at very specific things. So for example, I was struggling getting my GPU passed through. I'm using Proxmox, but getting passed through to my Frigate LXC inside Proxmox. So it's kind of a weird setup, but it's LXC, a container, and Proxmox with Docker container running Frigate. And I was struggling trying to get that GPU passed through, and the way it set it up, it helped walk through. Actually ran scripts to get the GPU set up in Proxmox and then get it passed through to Docker and then get it set up on Frigate. And Frigate is it's a whole lot snappier. It's a nicer user experience when you're looking or reviewing recordings, that sort of thing, or even just bringing up live camera images. It's super fast. So I'm quite pleased with that. I could have it help with things that are going on with my Home Assistant VM, which I had some weirdness where I had automations where you'd shut the lights off at night, and I didn't set it up right. I set it up, there's some lights that I have set up. I have a smart switch and a smart bulb, and instead of shutting off the smart switch, I'd shut off the smart bulb, and then when I got up in the morning I'd have to turn out the switch and turn it back on manually, or I guess through Home Assistant to get it to turn on, and that was annoying the wife, and so I gotta fix that yet, but it helped me identify what the issue is, which was quite nice. Another thing I've done with this is I got a Bamboo Labs printer. It's got a camera inside of it, and I wanted to get the printer camera passed or connected to my Frigate server so I could monitor prints, see if there was issues every once in a while, and it worked out nicely. Alright, so the service analysis is ready. Alright, so this thing that I was talking about is a legitimate Microsoft virtualization network, not malware. So it's not a big deal. Alright. I was just delivered breakfast, which is awesome, by the daughter. Got some scrambled eggs. Anyway, so this isn't all that exciting, but I think I understand the issue, and I guess because it's a hardware issue, I don't know how I would, maybe I can. Let me do something. So I'm going to ask it to have a look at what my what hardware I'm using, and then have it do maybe some research in regard to the issue I was talking about, the C state issue, when the machine goes into a low power state, some sort of bug. Maybe there's a patch for it now as far as a BIOS patch, but yeah, let's do that. So I believe I understand what the issue is. there was a setting that I adjusted in my BIOS because my PC would lock up after idle for some time. And I believe it's when it would go into a low power mode. And it's some weird C-state issue with the motherboard I have. Maybe in combination with the CPU I have. So let's investigate what hardware I have and then try to understand common issues, even not so common issues with this hardware when it goes into standby or a low power mode. Are there any known bugs? So I'm going to copy this because last time I turned it to research, it deleted it. So now I'll paste it back in, get research turned on. Send the message. Well, it's actually finding my hardware. Known problematic combination for C-state issues. It found. Let me also check for BIOS version. This is interesting. So my motherboard, my CPU, my BIOS version. It's actually well known for having C-state and idle power issues. So maybe it'll actually give me a more eloquent solution for this problem. Or it'll just say replace the, or to turn it off or replace the motherboard. Although I'm not going to replace the motherboard anytime soon. So I'm assuming it will provide solutions, but at least it'll provide a report and maybe what the issue is specifically. And then maybe it'll give a solution. And we're approaching 300 sources. That's crazy. So I'm doing all this through my Windows 11 machine. I do have a MacBook Air. It's relatively new, but what I found is like if it's trying to access things through SSH or things on my server, it has less issues from a Mac or a Linux environment. I don't have the Linux anything Linux set up on this machine, but I forget what it's called, WSL. It's like a Windows, or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but the idea is that you run a Linux on Windows, kind of a, I don't know if it's even called a VM, but it's basically a Linux environment, and then you can do the same sort of thing we're doing here, but with a little more success. So occasionally there's something that I need to do that doesn't work on Windows, where I have to go over to my Mac OS device, and it handles it better. And my understanding is, not my experience, but my understanding is that you get a more reliable experience in Linux like you do in Mac OS. This is taking a while. We're already 4 minutes in. So I've gone back and forth using different things for coding, creating web apps or Python scripts or data analysis tools. And I use Claude quite often, but ever since Claude 4 has come out, pretty much exclusively use Claude Opus 4. I seem to get through projects quicker. One of the things I'm working on is a branding guide creator. So kind of a, I'm not familiar with the branding guide. It's kind of the rules wrapped around, you know, logos, colors, use of fonts, that sort of thing. If you're creating a website or a flyer or whatever related to that brand, and the tool it's being built, it's basically for use of students to understand the rules wrapped around branding guide. And so it's an interesting project. I'll share that once I get a little deeper into it. Alright, so stability report is ready. It covers C-state freezing issues, DPC watchdog violations, sleep hibernation failures, USB connectivity problems, BIOS bugs, and Windows virtualization conflicts. Support includes critical BIOS settings for stability, focusing on power management, configuration that resolves common issues at the cost of slightly higher power consumption. So it sounds similar to what I did without me necessarily being an expert on it. So let's click the report and have a look. This is kind of cool, right? I'll just keep it this way. Bear with me. So known issue with my hardware. So experiences widespread stability issues, particularly during idle states and power transitions. The problems affect a significant percentage of users and require careful BIOS configuration to achieve stable operations. So most prevalent issue, C-state power management causing freezes during idle. Approximately 85% of affected users report crashes occurring 2 to 3 minutes after transitioning from high load to idle. I don't know how to understand the timing of that, but I guess, you know, I left the PC, I don't know, maybe midnight last night, and it didn't crash until almost 4 o'clock. The root cause stems from aggressive power management in C6 deep state states, where voltage drops prevent proper wake up transitions. So post-game idle crashes. I've seen this before, although I'm not seeing it currently. It's just after a while it'll lock up. Hardware monitoring software triggers crashes in 15% of cases. With this tool, which I'm familiar with. Ada, I'm not. Maybe I am and I don't recall, but I typically use the hardware info or something similar. The primary solution involves disabling global C states in the BIOS. Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. So I go into settings, advanced CPU configuration, global C states, then disable. Through this, increases idle power consumption by 5 to 15 watts. Users also disable C1E enhanced halt state and package C state support while setting power supply idle control to typical rather than low current. Okay, well this is good to know. And then this is what I've seen. I don't know if specifically, but often tied to these mouse over things are kind of annoying. But this is actually cool, even though it's kind of it's just citing sources, which is really neat. So sleep mode reliability remains a significant issue. S3 sleep state failures result in fans spinning to 100%. I'm not experiencing that necessarily, but maybe it does it when I'm not around. But it definitely doesn't come up to 100% and stay 100. Definitely would notice that. It would get loud, huh? Modern standby conflicts with Windows 10 11 cause the system to appear asleep while consuming power. USB connectivity problems. Disconnect issues after all ports cross both chipsets. Yeah, I'm not experiencing that. I don't think I'm given the opportunity. Meaning the lockup, I think. If it didn't lock up and it come up, then maybe I would see issues. A critical finding shows USB issues strongly correlate with PCIe 4.0 usage. Problems often resolve when switching GPU NVMe to PCIe 3 mode. Forget that noise. I want fast. Alright, bug issues, or BIOS issues. Alright, let me try it again. BIOS bugs and firmware issues. Several BIOS versions exhibit specific problems. Firmware TPM stuttering, causing system freezes. Windows updates and virtualization conflicts. Yeah, I mean, the C state stuff, that's me all day. Basically, this is what I need to do to achieve stability. Disable global C state control, power supply idle, typical, not low current idle, and then ERP disabled, power loading enabled. CPU settings, core performance boost enabled. PBO limits. What the heck's PBO? Motherboard default or manual tuning. Yeah, I'll go with default. Curve optimizers, values, void aggressive. Yeah, I'm not optimizing anything. Just want to go with stable and basically recommended values. Voltage settings, which I could get into that I suppose, but after just disabling the C state stuff, I get stable, so I'll just go with that. Other critical settings. I need the use discrete TPM if Windows 11 required. Not sure what that, I mean, I know what TPM is, but basically I don't necessarily need to worry about this, I don't think. Definitely not Force in Gen 3. And an SVM mode enabled, which I do have it enabled. Rare and uncommon issues. Alright, so this is information overload, but it's pretty great, right? So it gives me what I need to do for solving my issue. And I can tell you, you know, based on experience, this is what solved my issue previously. So I just wanted to share this, and you know, I thought it'd be interesting to show how AI can actually just dig in and help you understand. You don't have to spend a bunch of time figuring out how to read event logs, that sort of thing. Although I think it's important to maybe understand them, but you can go from here and say, well, let me do that. So you can go from here and say, okay, so, you know, we'll do something like, explain to me how I can actually review event logs like you did here. Keep it simple for me, please, and thank you. You want to be nice to AI, because they're going to take over someday. Especially when people are doing something like this, giving them access to their PC. Sorry for moving the window. Alright, so we open up Event Viewer. I guess I'll do it just for grins. But, so we'll go Windows X, click Event Viewer. I don't know if I can make this any bigger for you, but I'm going to try to. No, it doesn't look like it. Anyway, click Event Viewer, which we did. Then in the left panel, go to Windows Logs. Click on System. Right. Filter for errors only. Let's see, so we got a filter to the right here. We're going to go critical and error. Click OK. And then you get a list of your different events. Alright, so look for key event IDs. So 608 unexpected shutdown, which that would have been me this morning when I rebooted my, I don't see the codes though. Oh yeah, the codes are over to the right, let me squeeze that over. So we got a 608, so that happened when I basically rebooted the system because it was locked. I just had to power down and power back up. But you could see the critical error over here, 10 a.m. That's also related to my power down. It said the lockup was, or the, man, I forget, but there was an event at like 4 in the morning prior to this that put us in the state we are in. Anyway, you get the idea. So, Event Easy Reliability Monitor. This is my favorite for beginners. Type for reliability in the Start menu. Let's do that and see what that's about. So I'll go reliability. If I could spell it right. I'm not sure. Views. Oh, here, we'll do it this way. I'll copy it. Put the whole thing in there. Yeah, reliability history. That's what we want. Okay. This is interesting. I've not ever looked at this tool. So, kind of cool visually. Look for red X marks. They equal crashes. So if I had a crash, let's go back if I can. Alright, so basically in May, Looks like I had a bunch of different kind of crashes. I imagine, I don't know for certain, but I imagine that some of these weren't like lockup scenarios or the like, I guess. But oh, and then you can do some PowerShell stuff. If you want to quickly see recent errors, I could do this too. So I'm not going to dig into all this detail, but it's interesting. It's a tool you can use to try to understand your situation and work towards a solution. You could actually take screenshots of this and feed it to whatever AI tool you prefer, and it can walk you through. I would probably go to specific events, get into the technical details, and say, hey, help me understand what's going on here. You know? But just for grins, let me bring up PowerShell, and I'll show you what that looks like. I think I can make this bigger. Would be a better experience. All right. So the idea here is kind of the same scenario. It's like, all right, show me the event log. Give me information in regards to those events. Like the first one here, secure boot update failed. Anyway, you get the idea. Different ways to skin a cat, but I really like the idea of getting Claude in there and just having it, him, whatever you call it, do the investigation, make the translation for you. And again, this one is the same issue I had prior, so I went in with a little bit of understanding of what the situation is to hopefully guide AI into giving us more detail on can it actually help us understand the issue. So I think maybe one of the important things that I should have talked about at the beginning of it is you have an issue, you don't know what it is, you want to figure it out. So the output you want is, hey, tell me the solution. I think it's important to give the details of the hardware, even if you're manually entering this in. Say, I have this code, this error code, and what led to this, or how I understood there was an issue, was my PC locked up or blue screen, whatever your scenario is. And here are my hardware specifications. You know, you definitely want to provide that, because if you're dealing with something, it's likely that other people have dealt with what you're dealing with, highly likely, right? And so if it gets the information it needs in regards to your hardware and the error you're seeing, it should be able to find what the problem is and hopefully give you an eloquent solution that doesn't cost $500 or whatever. So anyway, that's all I'm going to do for now, but let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'm very interested in sharing other things like this. I got a couple ideas that I'm going to roll out and I'll share with you guys in the near future. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you later.